Reza, say hi to the world.
Hello.
Hello. We are in the Israeli Museum. We're heading to the model of the old city from the time of, let's say, King Herod Jesus. And are you ready for a nice tour? Yes. We are very close to it, but on the way you can see the son of darkness and the son of light. And if you are Christians, you know what I'm talking about. But if you go to 1st century BC, a community that lived in the Dead Sea next to Jericho, and they copied the Bible. Then we found it. We found 900 Dead Sea Scrolls, and I can read it. It was written more than 2,000 years ago, and I can read it. And the museum of it is down there, just beneath that place, and you can actually visit the Bible that was written 2,000 years ago. But we are heading to the model of the temple, and when Reza said, I want to see it, he said, I want to see something small like that. But Reza, you're going to be surprised. This is huge maquette. It's not a maquette, it's a huge city. Then are we ready? Yes, we are. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. Then, if we can see here the Jewish temple, it means that it's still at the time of Jesus. At 70 AD, it will be destroyed. Now, the most important thing here is the Holy of the Holy, right there. At the time of Abraham, it was the first stone ever, and Isaac was sacrificed by Abraham on top of it. And then God told the Jews to build his house, which is the Jewish temple, on top of that stone. Then for the Jews, the Holy of the Holy is that stone. The house of God is that house. A synagogue is not a house of God. I know that the church is a house of God, but not a synagogue. Then in that case, King Herod, which you can see the temple that he built, and Jesus used it 3 times here. King Herod wanted to build something big. Then he destroyed everything that was around the stone and built 4 big walls. By that, he created an artificial plaza. He called it artificial plaza the Temple Mount. On top of it, he built the Jewish temple, which was between 2 to 3 times bigger than the Dome of the Rock that located of it too. Now, Reza, we've been here. Remember, this is Mount of Olives. We are at Mount of Olives. From Dominus Flavit, when the Lord wept, we saw the old city. And remember, this is right there, it's the Golden Gate. And from there, Jesus will enter to the temple. Today it's sealed because the entrance is from the Muslim time. The temple does not exist anymore. But we actually traveled yesterday through the eastern wall of the temple. And the other side is the western wall of the temple. Then in that case, that's where the Jews are praying. And let me tell you immediately, the Jews are not praying through a wall. They are praying through the Holy of the Holy, which is there. And Reza, we visit another place yesterday, City of David. Remember that? Here, it's not from the time of King David. There were palaces of Queen Helena, different queen. And we went all the way down to see the source of the water, the Gihon spring. And we saw the Siloam pool, which is at the end of it, inside the walls. There are 2 parts of the city. The lower city, which is the poor part, and the upper city, which is for the aristocrats, the priest area. Then the Jewish quarter is mainly at the upper part, and the Western Mall is there. Then we already been there. Remember? That structure right there, it's the Antonia. For you, it's the first and the second station of the Via Dolorosa. That is where Jesus was judged by Pontius Pilate, Praetorium. right there. The 4 buildings. Can you see it? Right, then let me make it bigger. Then the Via Dolorosa of Jesus started from there, but in a way, this is Garden of Gethsemane, right here. And next to it, see those 2 pools? You've been there. This is Bethesda. This is the sheep pools. That's where Jesus cured the handicapped man that couldn't enter to the pool. And next to it is the house of Mary. We actually visited yesterday the house of Mary next to the pools. And I know that you've been there because I saw a picture of you next to those pools. Then, let's talk about the walls. The wall at the time of Jesus was the inner wall. And those 3 gates, 3 towers, are the towers of Jaffa Gate. Remember, we actually entered to David's Citadel and we saw the most amazing museum about the history of Jerusalem. And don't miss it, please. Next to it, it's the palace of King Herod. Why the palace was close to the fortress? Because King Herod was afraid that someone would kill him. And he could always run to the fortress to hide himself from the people. Then let's make a run tour. Let's go all the way down and make a run tour. Is it okay? Let's do that. From here you can see the Archive of Israel, the Library of Israel. They are still building it. And the Knesset, the Parliament of Israel, which is right there between the trees. You can see, oh, wait a minute, let me show them. Here it is. This is the Parliament of Israel. The museum that we are visiting, it's called the Israeli Museum. And it's one of the best. If you like modern art, this is the place. If you want to see the Dead Sea Scrolls, this is the place. If you want to see the only crucifixion nail that we found in the world, this is the place. If you want to see the inscription of Pontius Pilate, he created, then it's here. If you want to see the tomb of King Herod, this is your museum. Then it's so important to visit that museum. There's so many things to see here. Then we will make a run tour. We saw the city from Ariel time. We actually now left. We left the Mount of Olives in a way. We are crossing the Kidron Valley. And we entered it. Now, the wall that you see here, there's another wall. It's from Agrippa's time. It's the 3rd wall. It was here for only a short time and the Romans didn't like it and they destroyed. Then, from here we can see that Antonia. Look how beautiful it is. This is the Antonia. That's where Jesus was judged by Pontius Pilate. We saw the pools of Bethesda right here, and this is the birthplace of Mary as well, according to the Catholic and Orthodox Christians. And you can see the temple. And this is the Kidron Valley, right here. It's called Shushan. At the time of the high priest, it's called the Shushan place. And I forgot to mention, I don't know if you can you see a fence there to the left of the church, of the temple? There's kind of stones. That's where the non-Jewish people actually could reach. From there, only Jewish people, and you have to purify yourself. The Antonia was a fortress that King Herod built to see what's happening in the temple, because he wanted to control everything. I think you're gonna understand where we are, because we actually did it yesterday. After City of David tour, we climb up to the main entrance. Remember, we kind of purified ourselves in the swimming pool, and you can see the entrance. Here it's only two entrances, but we know about the 3. We saw 3 and another 2 to the left. And this is the Hulda, which is a prophet tomb. That's why they call it the Hulda area. But it's called the Ophel. The Bible calls it the Ophel. Ophel from the word to climb up. To climb up. Remember, we climbed up to the temple after we purified our body. Then this is the coins. It's usually been a very royal area, city of David, because they are controlling the water. And in this time, it was a Jewish queen that converted to, actually she wasn't a Jewish, but she converted to to Judaism. Then in that case it became very important. But city of David, the temple, the palace of King David that we visited yesterday was here, the palace of King Solomon, and the end of it, it's the Siloam pool. Here, when they built that maquette model, I'm not sure that they knew about it, because the pools that we saw is from they found it only in 2004. Now, southern wall of the temple. Look to the left of it. Can you see kind of a bridge? We've been there. Remember, we went underground and we left up from there, and we saw the floating stone. Then this is Robinson Arch, and what we did, and I think it's a good idea. You can buy a ticket from City of David that will take you to Davidson Center, which is that park, and through underground tunnel you can actually visit everything. This is beautiful. Now, that is, can you see the pool there? Yeah. This is the pool from the 5th century that we saw. Remember when someone purified the self, I think it was an Ethiopian guy? That is the pool from the 5th century, but the pool from the time of King Herod is lower than that. And that, when they built that model, it wasn't there. From here you can see beautifully the lower part of the city, which was in a way the poor. It was very crowded. Now, we know a lot about the city because of so many people who wrote everything about it. One of them was Josephus Flavius. He actually told us everything about the temple. He told us so many things. For example, a theater. There was a theater in the city from the time of Jesus, from the time of King Herod. We didn't find it yet, but they decided it might be here. That structure that you see in front of you looks like a tomb, like Absalom tomb, remember so? That is King David tomb. We actually been there early morning, just beneath the room of the Last Supper. Then King David tomb. You can see the then you're gonna see that, because one of the question was, in a way, wait a minute, one of the question was where is, if Jesus was crucified outside the city, and we know that it is. Soon you will see it, but we're still not there. Then you can see here King David tomb and so many palaces, and the most important palace is of King Herod. He had swimming pools. It was symmetric. It was huge. It's the area of the Armenian Quarter. And let's go to here. This is Jaffa Gate today. 3 palaces and the museum that you visit, and your hotel is to the left of it. At the time of Jesus, your hotel was outside the wall. Remember, it's actually parallel to the towers. And what I want you to understand, that wall that we are looking at is new. That was built by Agrippas, King Agrippas, after the time of Jesus. And can you see the gate there? This is the judgment gate. And Jesus went out from that gate, and to the left of it there's a small rock. Can you see it? This is the Golgotha. But at the time of Jesus, what I want you to understand, that the wall that we are looking at, the one that is close to us, wasn't there. It was built, let's say, 30 years after Jesus' time. And the Roman didn't like it. Then they asked him to destroy it, and he destroyed it. Then again, we know that Jesus was crucified outside the gate. Why outside the gate, Reza? Let me tell you that outside the gate is so important because everyone goes in and out. That was the best media. That was the BBC of that time, CNN at that time. Everyone actually entered and went out, and they saw the sin list of this. Jesus from Nazareth, King of the Jews. And the mother will tell their son, if you will say that you are King of the Jews, and the Romans already crowned Herod's family as the kings, they will crucify you. But I forgot to show you something. Then let's go back to here. The Western Wall is between those. It's difficult to see. I don't know. Can you see the red arrow there at the wall? If not, believe me, it's there. Then the Western Wall is between those. Yeah. The Western Wall Plaza, it's only a small part of the Western Wall. The Western Wall is bigger than that, and it reaches until the Antonia, but most of that place now is part of the Muslim quarter. Then what left for the Jews is only a small part. Remember, we saw the Eastern Wall yesterday, it was longer. Then the Western Wall was the same, but most of the Muslim quarter is using the house of, one of their houses' walls is the Western Wall. And this is the city of Jerusalem, let's say from after Jesus' time, everything that you see here. Then we don't know a lot about that. We just know that it was a bigger city after the time of Jesus. But the Jesus city is the inner walls.
Yeah.
I think now we know everything about that. Then Reza, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
it actually summarized the tour of us. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and Reza's channel as well.
If you come to the Jerusalem, you should come to the Jerusalem Museum.
True.
And really, you will enjoy it.
Yes.
Shalom from Jerusalem.
Shalom from Jerusalem. Then see you. Bye-bye.